Welcome back to the classroom, guys, as we're here to talk about Classroom of the Elite episode 4 today. Now, this episode actually has some interesting repercussions for our next couple episodes going forward, actually. We get the start of some pretty interesting things happening in this episode for the rest of our season. So I'm quite looking forward to it, guys, but man, this show does continue to be good, doesn't it, huh? Every time, like I say in my last video, every time I see the quote in the beginning of the episode, I'm like, oh, we're about to get into it. So, on that note, let's get into it and talk about Classroom of the Elite episode 4 today. Now, our episode begins today with Horikita actually gathering up Ayano Koji, Haruta, and Kei and explaining exactly how Ryun was able to win the last competition they had. And they even say it themselves, it's actually quite simple. Because you see how every group was named after a planet, right? And let's take Ayano Koji's group. They were the Mars group. They're the 4th planet in the sun. And you put everyone's names in alphabetical order. I believe they said you had... it doesn't matter. But the 4th person in that group was Kei. And she ended up being the VIP. So if you deduce that, and you go to every group, so say you go to the Earth group, since they're the 3rd planet from the sun, that means the 3rd person on the list in alphabetical order was the VIP. It's actually very simple. So as you go down the line, say... it's actually quite simple, honestly. If you really think about it. And they're like, wow, how the hell did we not get something so simple? Even Kei says that's like really easy. But figuring that out during the exam's the hard part because you have no way to confirm that information. But he was able to do that. And that's how Class C was able to win the last competition. It is really straightforward if you know what to do. But, yeah. And it's really that simple. But let's get into the crux of our episode today, Let's get into the meat and potatoes. We are starting the sports festival. Now, the sports festival is going to be fun. Let me just say that right now. It's going to be a very fun little arc in our show this season. And I'm very excited for it. Now, the premise is easy, it's just a typical standard sports festival, nothing crazy going on, nothing over the top. We got some events that you'd normally see, but one of the catches is, if you place high in the sports festival, I believe they said it was the top 10, that you get points that can go towards your next exams to give you a better score. But the catch is, if you place in the bottom 10, you lose points. So everyone's freaking out as Sai's up there telling everyone. And she explains to them later, we leave it all up to you guys. You guys decide who's in what competition, who's in what spot. We leave it entirely up to the class to figure out what you're going to do. So we get into that, and we have the whole class D discussing with each other. All right, who's going to be in what? Now, of course, Pseudo, being the big musclehead himself, decides that, I want to go in all these events. I'm clearly the most athletic out of all of us here, so you guys should really rely on me in this instance. But Horikita has a little pushback about that. She's like, while it's true you're athletic and you'd be good in some of these events, we can't guarantee that you're going to be good enough to beat the other classes in this. So, we need to be more optimized with how we decide people, If we have someone who's good at an event and someone who's not as good as an event, I say we pair them up to fully maximize ourselves. But there's a bit of a flaw in that theory, Because it's just based on skills alone, And the people that are good at something will obviously do better than the other people. So it's really just focusing on them. Her plan really, makes it to where other people will not be able to succeed. Only the people that are good at something will succeed. It kind of drags down the class a little bit. And her argument is, in the long run, this will help everyone out. You know, this will help everyone out in the long run. So just kind of grit your teeth and bear with it. But Kay actually opposes this. So her argument is actually like, how can you want to see people in your class fail? You know, like, why would you want to see people fail? And she says, well, they'll benefit in the long run, Horikita says that. And Kay is like, no, I don't agree with that. I just don't agree with that whatsoever. And she even asked Kushida to intervene between them. And she says, well, I can kind of see both sides of the opinion, so why don't we combine the two ideas, you know? Why don't we combine them and see where we go from there? And so they actually put it to a class vote with 10 people picking Horikita's idea and 8 people picking Kei's idea. Because as cruel as it is, Horikita's idea is not terrible, honestly. It maximizes the performance of the class, but at the same time, it really does kind of like throw people under the bus in a way. It's kind of sacrificing some people so that the whole class benefits in the long run. It's, as Kei even says it in herself, how can you expect to unite the class doing this? And Ayano Koji actually abstains from the argument. He doesn't raise his hand on either side, and both of them give him a dirty look afterwards. And after the class meeting, we actually get a scene where Kei's like, alright, Ayano Koji, what are you doing? Because it turns out that he's the one that texted her during that conversation saying, alright, I need you to oppose Horikita's idea and bring Kushida into the argument. And she's like, why would you want me to do that, Ayano Koji? Like, I actually kind of agreed with her. Ayano Koji. And Ayano Koji just flat out tells her, like, if I have to explain everything in my plans to you, we're going to get nowhere in our little agreement. So she's like, alright, fair enough. But let me ask you one thing. What is your objective? And he says, well, to get the class to Class A, of course. And she's like, no. What is your personal objective? And Ayano Koji thinks for a second. And he says, if I told you, you wouldn't believe me at this point anyway. So, over the course of this year and through this event, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you what my personal objective is in all of this. And then he leaves her with a statement like, during this event, I'm going to show you that we're actually going to have a traitor in our midst. We're going to have a traitor in the class who's going to leak all of Class D's information to other classes. And she's like, how do you know this? And she's like, you'll see over time. And he leaves her with those vague words as he walks off. Ayano Koji, always the vague one, guys. And it's here that we transition to training for the sports festival. And we see everyone's working hard at their events that they were assigned. And we go to Horikita, who's actually in a 3-legged race, of all things. I know, her in a race. But she's actually quite athletic. And her partner keeps saying, alright, why can't you keep pace with me? You're going so much faster than me. We have to work together in all this. And she's like, well, clearly the slower person should work harder to keep up with the faster person. Why should I have to lower our time to accommodate you? Ain't winning no friends with that attitude, let me tell you that. So she walks off, and Ayano Koji actually walks after her, and he said, alright, look, Horikita, you need to work on compromising with people more. You know, you gotta try to be more understanding with people. And he's like, let me show you. Do a 3-legged race with me. She's like, why would I do that with you? He's like, just do it. You know, they have a mixed gender 3-legged race too. Let's see how compatible we are for that. So they start racing, and Horikita can't keep the pace with him. And he just looks at her and says, oh, well, shouldn't you work harder to keep the pace with me? And he kind of suns her a little bit. And afterwards, he sits her down and is like, all right, look, it's about working with the other person, giving the other person the initiative. Like, you're not looking at people, Horikita. You refuse to look at people. You have to work together with people. And as he's explaining that, they start talking about the races, actually. And he reveals that the person who was a traitor in the previous event was actually Kushida, who betrayed the Earth group that she was in. And that's how our episode ends. I mean, it was kind of obvious, guys. Let's be real. Like, I shouldn't have to tell you that Kushida was the traitor in the last event. We remember that weird ass scene with Kushina on the boat. Like, come on now. I even told you guys, like, what? I wonder what that could mean. And that's how our episode ends. You know, this show, every person in this class definitely has a problem, you know? Especially Horikita. She's got a big problem. A big, like, personality problem. Like, she don't work with everyone. There's not a single person in any of these classes who is perfect in any way, guys. Everyone has a flaw that they have to work on moving forward in the series. Even Ayano Koji has some major flaws in him that will have to get worked on throughout the course of the series. But you guys let me know, what do you think of this episode? You know, we're setting up a new event, I guess you could say, for the school. So how do you think it will go? Who do you believe will be the traitor that Ayano Koji declares? If there even is one. There is one. Who do you think it is? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't look ahead. I want to know. I want to hear your guys' guesses on who you think the traitor will be. And yeah, just what do you think of this episode? You know, like I said, we're starting a whole new event. We're finally back to school. We were on the boat for so long. So you guys let me know what you thought down below. And that'll be it for today, guys. You know, so I hope you guys have a great day, week, month, and year. And until next time, just have a blessed day. And just smile, guys. Life's short. Smile. I'll see you next time.
Hey guys, it's me from a little bit into the future, and I realized in this episode, like, I remember, like, a good majority of this arc. Like, I remember the highs of this arc, but I don't remember all the little finer details. And I feel like I'm not going to give as good of reviews if I don't go back over it. So I'm going to go back over the, light novel in this for this arc, just so I can give you guys better reviews, give you guys a little more info and a little finer details between the lines. So look forward to that, guys. I wanted to tack that on because I forgot to add that to the video. So look forward to that.